Hey guys, it's your girl Fab and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Let me start off by saying welcome if this is your first time, and if it's your returning time, then you know what it is. I just want to encourage you to subscribe to this channel and put on your post notifications so you can know when I upload new videos. And so now I'm going to get right into it as usual. I wanted to switch it up today, and I usually talk about relationships, but I'm going to talk about familial relationships, as in immediate family, as an extended family. And I'm going to focus on the topic of how to train your family to respect you. Yeah, I said it. How to train your family to respect you. Because it's something that I've had to deal with firsthand. It's something that has been an issue basically most of my life. And you know, I know you're saying, well, why should it bother you now as a full-grown adult? You have your own family, you started your own family, you've moved on, you're a fully realized woman. Well, it bothers me because it bothers me, because I'm that type of person. But and I know that I'm not the only person that feels this way. So you have to interact with your family, whether if it's close, whether it's in close quarters or from a distance. And so, you know, getting a couple tips on how to handle the situation, because it can get real turned up at times, is key in life. It'll make your life easier, it'll reduce your stress. So my first thing is realizing that you may have to leave your family alone. And I'm saying all these things because these are things I have struggled with and still struggle with till this day. You may have to leave your family all the way alone. I'm not just talking about like, you know, I'm talking about you might have to just not desert your family. That's a bit severe. But you might have to reduce the amount of time you talk to them. I know it sounds harsh, but sometimes our families can be the main source of toxicity in our lives, and we have to set boundaries for them. Actually, a lot of the times we have to set boundaries for our family before anybody else, to be honest, because they don't know where the line should be drawn. And so you have to train them to respect you. And say you're the only one that, you know, this is based on perception, but say you're the only one that's awakened, or the only one that thinks the way you do. You think differently than the other members of the family, which was my case my whole life till this day. So you may have to leave them alone. That might require that you live in a place that's different from them entirely. That might require that you have to know when to cut off the conversation when you perceive that it's getting to a place that might get heated or go to an unnecessary place. You might have to just cut it off and choose to love from afar. Love from afar means keeping your conversations 30 minutes instead of an hour. Little changes like that can make all the difference. And that might be what it takes for you to actually be able to get along with your family and get the respect you deserve. On top of that, in order to do that, you have to be assertive and you have to be firm. This is not something where you can dilly-dally and give your family the impression that this is optional. You need to make it known that you are not going to move forward with the family in the way that you used to. You have to set a boundary. It's really, really, really simple. You have to set a boundary. Now, if you're the personality type that's not as blunt as me, or straightforward, or, you know, assertive at all, then you're going to have to practice your way, gradually practice your way into becoming more of that kind of person. It might not be part of your personality, but if you want to get the respect you deserve from your family, these are some changes that you will have to implement. That might be leaving, loving from afar, and being firm, being assertive. Now, if you're in a situation where you can't leave, I mean, that's a very real thing, especially now. Look at us in the pandemic still quarantining, and this is part of our new norm. Let's just face the facts. So if you're in a position where you can't leave, and this one was hard for me too, you're gonna have to learn how to ignore. You know, me and one of my sisters are very different characters. I mean, we are extreme opposites. And one thing I can say that she was really good at that I was not good at was knowing how to ignore. you know, because I'm a very passionate person. I'm that passionate person in my family. And so when it comes to my family and wanting us to do better and wanting us to, as a collective and as individuals, I'm really hard on us. I'm really hard on me. And so that passion can be misconstrued as so many things. And so at the time, being in close quarters and not being able to leave the situation at the time, you know, being is when my mom was alive and when I needed to be close by for maybe relatives or family that's getting a little older, you need to be close to care for them. You might have to get to the point where you might have to ignore. It's going to sound crazy, but you have to ignore. And then at times, after you ignore and distance, that's another factor. Get away from the issue when you feel it about to get heated. You get away from it. Distance yourself. Put space in time between you and the ordeal. That was one of the tactics. That was one of the tactics that me and my sister used. On the latter end of us being close in age. We're 13 months apart. So, you know, and we're very different. So we wouldn't get along. I mean, it's to be expected as siblings. But the reality is, like, we felt like we were also getting older, and that should be more reason why we understand who we are, and we should find ways to get along. So what we came to the conclusion is, I know, and it took us longer. You know, maybe you and your siblings discovered this as children. I don't know, but it took us forever to come to terms with the fact that when we feel things about to get elevated, or when we feel like our differences are about to make us feel certain emotions, we agreed that we would just like literally shut it down and come back to it later on when we calm down. And that has worked wonders for us in our relationship. That has worked wonders for us as sisters. Giving it a chance to calm down will definitely help us gain perspective between, giving it that space and time, help us maybe even understand the other person's side even better, which would aid in actually reconciling, figuring out the situation, figuring out this dispute, the disagreement, and really just moving on with life, because we're all getting older. When you do ignore, I would also suggest replacing that. You know, there can be like a buildup when you ignore things. In my personality type, I feel like ignoring, the reason why I didn't understand ignoring so much as a tactic to use is because like I said, I'm passionate, and so my ignoring feels like ignoring ignoring it indefinitely. That's what I put in my mind. And the reality is, it's not that deep. I'm ignoring it for the moment so that I can give it some extra time within those hours after the interaction, within that day, to calm it down and get back to it later. And that's what I needed to learn and understand over the years. To me, ignoring before was equivalent to like just brushing it under the rug, and I'm definitely not that kind of person. I do not agree with brushing anything under the rug, because it will come to surface later, and it will keep on showing and rearing its ugly head until you deal with it. I believe in peaceful confrontation. That doesn't say that I've confronted things peacefully every time, because I'm human, but I believe in peaceful confrontation, or at some point getting back to addressing the issue. I don't believe in brushing things under the rug. I don't think that's a good and healthy tactic. I think it leaves ways for things to stew and fester, and it's just not an adult or mature way of dealing with things. So that's, if you can't physically leave the space with your family or your elders or whatever, ignore for the moment, let things calm down, and distance yourself. Put time and space so that you might have an opportunity to gain a different perspective, if possible. And then I'm going to go back to what should be a no-brainer and say, respect yourself. Respect yourself. And it's just straight to the point. If you allow people, even your family, to disrespect you, they will continue to disrespect you. And this is why in the first 2 points I highlighted being firm, i.e. assertive, and sometimes loving from afar. Because you have to respect yourself. You have to show your family that you will not move forward without being respected. You need to command and demand respect. Let them know that what we won't do is continue on in this unhealthy manner, that we can do better as adults. You know, that's you and that's them. Be intentional about requiring respect from your family. Remind them of who you are. Now that sounds so arrogant. And in the beginning of me practicing this point, you know, it probably did come across as arrogance, because I've gotten that from people before, that I come across arrogant. You know, I'll take it. You know, I'll own who I am. I believe that there have been times that I've come across arrogant, and I've also owned it. That's what makes me different, and that's what makes me honest. I'll own it. I'll say in that moment, I was really passionate about getting my point across, and I came across the wrong way. Or these factors are what built me up to where I am. It does not make it right. However, being able to own it is part of being a mature adult. So I needed to be intentional in letting my family know that I'm not going to settle for less. And I don't think as a family, whether we interact with each other right to our faces over the phone or from a distance, we should continue to, you know, vibrate at that low. We can do better as a family. That's always been my thing. You know, as a family go, we can all do better. And I always include myself because I am part of the family. I'm not excluded. I never put myself in a pedestal when it comes to my family. I'm always saying we, because that's what it is. You know, no matter how distant, no matter how long we haven't spoken, no matter how physically distant we are, we live from each other, no matter what it is. So that's what I mean by remind them of who you are. Yeah, sure, brother, I may have come off arrogant, but I own that I have. And so in me owning that I have, can we talk about a resolution? Because that is what I desire from this. So I've owned my flaws, and I'm ready to talk about how we can reconcile, because that is the end factor. It's not about being cocky and arrogant and trying to size each other up and trying to laugh and trying to give each other the silent treatment indefinitely. Those are all healthy. Those are all unhealthy, passive aggressive gaslighting tactics, in my opinion. Just saying. And also another factor is, like, this is when it comes to extended family. And once again, speaking from personal experience, a lot of my extended family, they are almost so preoccupied with the 10, 13, 15-year-old version of me. I'm a grown woman. I was married for 10 years. I have a child. But they are set on remembering and sticking to that child version of me. And so they find it hard to now get to know the adult version of who I am, realizing that I have a lot of theories, concepts, and real life experience that has been the teacher for myself, has given me a little wisdom, if not a lot. And so that's what I mean by really being intentional and really demanding the respect and really reminding them of who you are. More in the case of the extended family than the immediate family. Or in the immediate family's case, in the case that you haven't seen them in such a long time or haven't heard from them. They will always jump to conclusions and have preconceived notions of who you are as an adult. And you know, maybe even go out of your way to let them know, look, I know you are really versed in the 10-year-old version of me, but I'm in my 30s now. You know, or I'm in my 20s or 40s or 50s or however long it's been. It's time for you to get to know the me who has my own mind, my own thought concepts, my own ways of being, my own traditions, my own familial ideas about how a family should be. Just encourage everyone getting current on who the people are, because I think that's a problem with family, especially extended family. I think that's a problem with that too. It's like we're not taking the time to really get to know the real time, current day us, and getting caught up on who we are, being present. So with that said, respect yourself, be intentional, be firm, Demand that respect. Remind them of who you are. Okay? And don't settle. Summon the courage to not settle for less. Require higher for yourself and for your family. And that is how to train your family to respect you, because you deserve it. Those are things I used to demand respect from my family. Does it work 100% of the time? Of course not. We're human. But at least I know who I am. And there's a lot to come from that. It strengthens me, and it gives me, it empowers me, so that I don't give up on my family in the long run. But for now, we're going to keep it at a loving distance. And that's my topic for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope it's been helpful to you in some way, shape, or form. And I just want you to continue to like, comment, please give me your feedback, and subscribe to my channel, as well as spread the word about my channel as I continue to grow. I look forward to future topics that will be provided by you, because that's why I'm here. So please make sure you just spread the word. Until next time, your girl Fab.